Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's write some more Leetcode today. Today we are solving count days without meetings. So the problem states that we are given a positive integer called days, representing the total number of days an employee is available for work. And we also have a 2D array meetings of size n, where meetings of I consist of the start time and the end time, and they represent the starting and the ending days of meeting I. And we want to return the number of days where the employee does not have a meeting that is scheduled. So if we look at these two examples, in example 1, we will return 2 because there's no meeting scheduled on day 4 and day 8 within these intervals. And in example 2, we will return 1 because there is no meeting scheduled on day 5, so the output will be 1. So now that we have seen some examples, let's get to how we can solve this problem. So one way that we can solve this problem is to first sort the meetings array that we are given, and after sorting, we want to see if there's any days before the first day where no meetings are scheduled, and if there are any days after the last days that no meetings are scheduled, and then we also want to see if there's any gap in between these intervals. And we will figure out the gaps between the intervals by iterating between them. We will figure out the gap between the first day by checking the gap before iterating, and after iterating, we need to check the gap between the end and the number of days at the very end. So let's go through this example real quick. So first, we need to sort the array. After sorting, we realize that the person has a meeting on the very first day, so we don't need to add anything to result. And the very last day in our iteration currently is day 3, so we put our last as day 3. Now when we iterate to the next element, we see that there's a gap between 5 and last. So we need to increment the result by the gap, which is 1. Now we need to set last to 7 because that is the latest day that we have currently iterated through. And now at the next element, we see there's a gap between 9 and 7. So we need to increment the result by the gap again, which is 1 day where there's no meetings. So now the result is 2. And now that we have come to the last element, so we set last to 10, and we realize that between the very last day and the number of days, there are no days where there are no meetings scheduled, so we don't need to increment the result. And for this example, the result will be 2, and that will be what we return. So the time complexity would be O of n log n, because we need to sort the meetings array, and that's what the sorting time would take. And the space complexity would be O of n, because it would take n space to sort the meetings array in Python. So now let's get to the coding part. So first, we will sort the meetings array, and then we will set result to meetings of 0 minus 1 to figure out the gap in between the beginning, and we will set the last to meetings of 0 and negative 1, and now we will loop through the second element all the way to the very end. So if the start of the second element is greater than the end of the previous element, then we need to increment the result because that means that there's a gap where there are some days where there are no meetings scheduled. So meetings of I0 minus last minus 1. And we need to set the last to the very last day, so update that. It will be the max between last and meetings of I of negative 1. And afterwards, we need to check if there's a gap between the very last day and the number of days, and then we can return result. See if it works. Okay, perfect. Thank you all for watching. Hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave it down in the comment section, and I hope to see you all again soon.